scalability, I'll jump there quickly from that point of view. To me, one of the questions that I always ask an entrepreneur is, okay, is tell me 25x for a second, right? How do you get to 25x? How do you get to 25 times where you are right now? And money's not a problem, capital's not a problem for a second. How do you get there, right? What's your, and what would you do to get there? And it really is a what if exercise from that point of view. But as a general rule, right, what it should also do is that you look at how you're going to get to 25x. You should be stress testing along the way, or at least evaluating the stress test elements doing it. What's that? Do we have a plan for that, right? Do we have the capital structure to do that? If not, what does that look like from that point of view? Because the fact that we have a great idea that could potentially get to 25x, if we can't fund it, if we can't support it, if we can't manage it, all of those stressors that we talked about early on come into play. So the scalability analysis is not really about can you get to 20, is it potentially able to get to 25x, but how would you do it and what are your constraints, to get to 25x. So that exercise is really an important one, I think, for people to start looking at because it's part of the evolutionary plan, right? If I'm going to get to 25x, the next question is, am I going to do it, next year? Am I going to do it 10 years from now? What's my timeline, right? Because it forces me to look at all those other scenarios and have to come into play relative to that. And it's again, a stressor in itself is I hadn't even considered what it would take, because sometimes people grow multiple of their current circumstances and they're there with they didn't plan to get there. They're there, they got there in spite of themselves sometimes.
So can I interject for a second?
Sure.
So the buyer on this side, usually what I see that the questions that they're asking is they want to understand the scalability for a number of reasons. Number one is where's this puppy going to go after they buy it, and then on the sales side, something to think about, like the psychology of what you're dealing with is you're not selling something and like running while it burns to the ground. Like it has to have long-term viability to it. So thinking through these what ifs that Marvin was just talking about and helping understand a little bit about what's the roadmap again here too. We keep coming back to, we touched it a couple of times, from vision to, the relationships and dependencies, the business plan, like those sorts of things are still kind of hitting on the same concept around like where's the buyer going to go with this and what's going to be the value to them post close.
And I would say the other thing that I want them to consider along the way, right? And that is that, where's your exit, right? Because a lot of the venture capitalists, right, they'll come in and they'll say, I want to buy this company, but I'm exiting at 5x, right? So I want to get to 5x in a certain time frame. I want to get in, I want to grow it to 5x, and then we want to get out. We don't want to necessarily hold it forever. Or others may come in and say, we want to take it, we're going to hold it forever. It's going to fold into our scheme of things at the beginning. So along the way with an entrepreneur, it is that he may recognize that I don't want to run this thing at 5x, right? If I get to 5x, I'm out of here. That's my exit place, or 3x, whatever the case might be. So along the way, the investment spending that may require to get to 25x over 5 years may not take place because you're going to get to 3x and you're going to exit, or 2x and exit, or whatever the case might be in that regard. So that's why you go through that process. It helps the planning, the evolutionary planning thought processes there along the way. So it's something that should be considered.
Be sure to subscribe and hit the bell for notifications about new videos and interviews. And introduce yourself in the comments. Are you a buyer or a seller?